And welcome back to another week. I'm Gaston Rossato. This is season 5, episode 11.
And I'm Renzo Rossato, and today we're looking at the 599 GTB Fiorano.
That's right. An amazing car, something special for Ferrari. Of course, front engine, V12, the ultimate classic, red tan. Just came into the barn. Let's take a look at it. But before we do, please hit that subscribe button.
Please, guys. As always, let's kick it off with the drive.
Let's go. All right, guys, before we get started, we want to remind you of one thing. We recently started a VIP email list, and I know what you're thinking. You don't want to get any more emails, and I get it. Neither do I. However, if you're into getting exclusive inventory, we will send out an email 48 hours before the car goes live on any platform that includes social media and other advertising platforms. So, you know, it gives you the exclusivity of buying a car off market. And the fact is, most of our cars, 9 out of 10 cars, were previously off market.
So it's
It's
a good opportunity for anybody looking for something nice.
Absolutely.
The link is down below. Make sure you sign up so you don't miss out on any opportunities. So this is a 599 GTB Fiorano. Fiorano is the name of the test track for Ferrari. That's where Ferrari tests all their cars.
Yeah, but it's not just a random track. It's the track on their property line.
Exactly.
I've been there one time.
It's a big name, right?
It's a big name to slap on a car.
Yeah.
And, you know, the 599 has different editions, I would call it.
It does.
We've seen it with the Fernando Alonso edition.
That's right.
You know.
And they always do the last year special version, lighter weight, higher horsepower, which this is the 599 GTO.
That's an animal of a car.
It's an animal of a car. But then you jump into another category, which is just track 599 FXX. The 599, I think, is FXX Evoluzione. So those are complete different animals.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I'm in manual mode, 4th gear, dropping it down to 3rd, doing about 43 miles an hour. Let's give it a slow, little punch. It is, however, a faster gearbox than the last car, the 575. It's a quicker gearbox. Having said that, it's not as fast as the F12 either.
No, you still have a little bit of that pause in between gears.
There's a pause, but it's pretty interesting to see and be able to experience all the different generations.
Yeah.
And how that time starts to really shave off. It gets so quick. Now, this is front engine V12, guys. This is classic Ferrari. This is the epitome of Ferrari. This is, you know, essentially their flagship model, right? Their big dog. And, you know, we're looking at a $300,000+ car here, brand new. Only a fraction of that what that's worth today. And we're looking at a very low example here, 15,000 miles. Again, guys, we provide all the links down below. So if you want to see what this car is advertised for, boom, it's right there.
And really well optioned out, right? We have the carbon back seats, which are extremely comfortable.
That's the other thing I wanted to talk about. They're so comfortable for a carbon back seat. I haven't experienced that before in another car, including other Ferraris.
Yeah.
So
a lot of carbon in the car.
A lot of carbon, a lot of options. We'll talk about that in the walk around. One thing that kind of draws my eye right now, I'm looking at the speedometer. Obviously, it shows you your miles per hour. It's a 220 miles per hour dial. But it doesn't have that inner dial showing you the kilometers, which most cars, you know, most American cars do. I don't think I've noticed that in another Ferrari. I don't know. For some reason, it kind of...
It stands out.
It stands out today.
Yeah, it definitely does. I love this handle I have here. Like a hold on when you hit on the gas.
That's the old handle. It sounded better. So looks like we have a very well insulated cabin is what it have, okay?
That downshift, gotta love it.
All right, Renzo, I got a whole different perspective on this car than you do because you've never driven it before.
That's
I
right.
can tell you it drives amazing. It also looks as good as it drives.
That's for sure.
What a beautiful car, such an elegant, and what looks like it could be a timeless design.
It's really aging beautifully. And the car is designed by Pininfarina. It was under the direction of Jason Castriota, who's actually an American designer. And he was responsible for one-offs like the Ferrari P4-5, very iconic car. So I thought it was really cool and really interesting knowing that that designer was actually an American designer under working for Pininfarina.
This car in particular has a couple upgraded features, like everything in Ferrari. You sit down and you want to buy a Ferrari, you got to go through the list and add some of these features that you want.
Yeah,
what do we have here?
Really well spec'd out car.
Yeah, red calipers, Scuderia shields, meaning we have the Scuderia shield right in the fender there. We talked about some of the things on the interior. Carbon fiber package, meaning it's on the dash, it's on the door cards,
Yeah.
it's on the center console, it's on the steering wheel, and
Carbon back seats.
carbon
which are also
back
massive.
seats, which is a very big option.
All the leather
And
we talked about in there.
even the door sills are
Oh, yeah, look at
carbon
that.
fiber.
So the 599 comes from the displacement 5.99, so it's a 6-liter V12. Look at that monster of an engine.
Red heads, like most Ferraris.
612 horsepower. So at the time when this car was introduced, it was one of the first cars that had over 100 horsepower per liter of displacement. So not many had that at the time. So this is one of the first. That's a really cool thing to.
It packs a
mention.
punch, I can tell you that much.
Oh yeah.
599 GTB, meaning it's a hard top. They didn't come convertible.
They did not.
I'm not sure why they called it the GTB, because there really wasn't any other option. There are some cool things about the 599 that I've seen, like Zagato body cars and things like that.
Oh yeah.
Cool variations. But they also came stick shift.
They did come stick shift, but the stick shift was only 30 made in the entire world. 20 came to the United States, 10 stayed back in Europe. So
Super scarce. If you find one of those,
what a
you're going to
unicorn.
pay a huge premium for that. It is a unicorn, but I have seen, however, some of these cars converted into manual.
Yes.
Very
common.
It doesn't mean because you convert the car to manual, you're going to get the premium for a factory manual car. That's not going to happen, but it does change the driving experience.
100%.
I'm just looking at this thing, I'm saying, wow, 13 years old. It's still extremely relevant today in design. If you tell anybody this is a 2020, I think they'd believe you if they didn't know any better.
I think so.
That leads me to believe it's a car that's going to age really, really nicely over time, and also appreciate over time. I think right now in today's market, they're at the lowest they've ever been before. It's already a couple generations back from its current 812 super fast model.
And there's a big change that we talked about already. And one of the biggest changes for the GT for Ferrari for this car was this is the first car to have the aluminum chassis.
Yeah.
So it's a big step forward for the Grand Touring for Ferrari, and this is kind of the one that kicked it off and pushed it.
Yeah. Well, I think you really need experience.
I
You're
do.
talking a lot of stuff here, like you know what you're talking about, but you've never driven the car.
I just want to hurry up and get behind the wheel.
Another feature we did not mention was the double stitching in red throughout the entire car. We see it on the top dash, lower dash, door panels, back here, even on the visor.
Oh yeah, you're right.
You have the red stitching, so very cool detail, and all that is extra. What do you think, Renzo?
I mean, there's not much to say. This car is a blast to drive.
It doesn't disappoint.
It does not disappoint. Definitely not.
You know?
So let's talk a little bit more about the history on this particular car right here.
It gives me a lot of peace of mind driving this car because we know the history.
That's right.
And a lot of times it's very common in these Ferraris, ownership gets transferred on very, very quickly. However, this car was bought brand new right here in Miami at the Ferrari dealer traded in, only less than a year old and about 1,000 miles in.
Brand new car still.
The second owner buys it, really good client of ours, comes from a very extensive collection. He's had it the entire time ever since.
Right.
Only 15,000 miles, properly maintained. It's nice to know the history.
Definitely is.
Having said that, this car does have a darker time in its history. Okay, it has a front engine collision.
Right.
It was minor, but it's there, it's documented. But we want to be able to disclose that, of course. But
What
that
brings-
also brings up an opportunity. We're talking about $30,000 less than your average 599 with this condition, these options, and these miles.
Right. So the 599, I mean, it's just, I think a car for Ferrari where the GTs really just took off from this model here because of the aerodynamics. We see those C-pillars opened up back there that pushes the wind into the back end and
It's
giving
got to
that
be the
downforce.
most distinctive feature in the entire car. I find myself driving and looking in the rearview mirror, just looking at that feature.
Exactly. Aerodynamics, first car, the GT car with aluminum chassis. You know, when it comes to the engine, we feel a big difference from the 575 to the 599. And this one comes with the F1 track system, the traction control that Ferrari's been using since then. So I think it's a great car to show the jump in innovation for Ferrari when it comes to their GT models.
State of the art and future classic for sure.
Oh, no doubt about it.
That's going to wrap it up for this episode, guys. We hope you enjoyed it. Please hit that subscribe button before we leave. It allows us to continue bringing you some of the best cars this world has ever seen on a weekly basis. So thank you very much. I'm Gaston Rossato.
I'm Renzo Rossato. See you next time. Peace out.